going into the question.
Which one of you fired me?
Yes. The people want, right?
I was going to wait, but we kind of got here already.
All right, no.
Do you know anything about what happened with
I
me?
sure
Absolutely.
do. I can
Absolutely.
tell you all about it. So
Let's go.
just you stay over there though.
I just grabbed your water because I'm so excited.
I'm just a barrier here.
This is where you like spill the water all over me. You're like,
I just want you
Forget
to know that there's no hard feelings with anything. I
totally
just
kidding.
want to hear the
Yeah.
story.
I know. Yeah, so this happened when I basically took over the creator program. Before me, there was somebody else that was running it.
Mhm.
And then basically, like, when I was given the program, it was sort of in shambles, honestly. Like, it was really not managed very well.
I'm glad you said that.
Because maybe you felt some of that
I
as
definitely felt.
There
I've
you go.
expressed those concerns.
And it was in danger
Yeah.
of maybe just going away. Like,
Yeah.
poof.
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
We don't need to do
I was
this.
getting that vibe
yeah,
as well.
Yeah.
totally. And so I was given this thing that was like sort of in shambles, and they were like, "So if you can fix it within like this very short time period, like
I know
a
how
month,
I'll fix it. That guy.
You know what the
We got one
problem
problem
is?
here, and it's you.
Yeah, see you later. No, just kidding. But it was like Kit was saying, it was really like in a precarious situation where even like our big Japan office that kind of controlled everything at Nintendo, they were very much like, why do we even need creators? They don't seem to be providing any value for Nintendo.
Whoa, that's
like,
wild.
Like,
so
just
they didn't.
ask all of them.
They
Why do you
didn't
need
see the
this?
value in
Not at all.
influencer support. That is insane.
Not at all.
Would you
Zero.
guys agree that really at this point that is the main
Exactly
source of support
Yeah.
that a lot of,
right? Yeah.
especially indie games, but even
Yeah.
with Nintendo?
No, I think it's like a huge missed opportunity.
Oh,
And
massive,
so
yeah.
Yeah.
when that was happening, it was like pretty scary time where they were basically like, well, if you can't fix it in the next like month or so,
Mhm.
like we're just gonna cancel this entire thing.
Wow.
And so it was like a bit of a race to try to like figure out first what had happened for it to be so mismanaged.
Yeah.
And then like to try to like stem it a little bit.
Yeah.
So it was pretty stressful, honestly. Like just to be given this and like almost given like an ultimatum.
No,
like,
for sure. Yeah.
yeah,
I
like,
can't imagine.
fix it or else.
I don't do responsibility well, so that
Yeah.
you're a real adult, and I appreciate that.
I try to be sometimes.
So what
yeah.
was that time like on the creator side? Because you got kicked off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When did you?
But there were
when-
other people that were still on, or
Yeah.
they claimed, right?
Yeah. There was other people that were still. So basically, the program was like massive.
There were hundreds of people
It was
in
like
this
over
program.
600 people, which
Yeah.
I think is totally the wrong way to do creator
Yeah.
relations, because the whole point is that you want to get to know people personally.
For sure.
You want to have like actual real relationships
Yeah.
with them. And it was like this list had just like ballooned into this huge thing, and half of the people like no one even knew.
You could ask somebody on the team that was carrying over, like, okay, who's this? And they'd say, I don't know.
Oh my
Yeah.
god.
I haven't talked
How
to
many?
this person in years. Like,
Yeah.
How many people were on the team? Not the creators, the team.
I mean,
would say
like
maybe,
Nintendo, it's a very small team. There's
Yeah,
like a
like-
handful of people at Nintendo, and then the
Right.
agency, of course.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And I think you were familiar with working with the agency.
Yeah.
you
I
were
mean,
getting
I'd spoke
communication
to
from
maybe
them,
like
yeah.
3 people in the
Yeah,
time.
it was
Yeah.
like maybe like 5 total.
Okay, so like
Yeah.
5 people in charge of like 600 creators.
Which is not possible.
Yeah, that's
not
not-
realistic.
yeah, not at all.
Right? Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Also, people who had several other jobs beyond just the
Right.
creators,
Right.
too.
It wasn't
Right.
just their
Okay.
only job. Yeah. Yeah.
So a mess.
It was a mess.
Yeah, it
Right,
was
the
a
program
mess.
was a mess.
Yeah. 600 people in the program, like about 4 or 5 people running it.
hmm
So how did you whittle that down, or what
Yeah,
did you do?
So
So-
there was a big audit that we did.
of people, of creators.
Of creators.
Yeah.
And a lot of the criteria really had to do with Nintendo's view of creators, like we mentioned before.
Right.
Like they really didn't see the value. And then also they were pretty like restrictive in terms of what we were able to give creators. So if you guys remember, like we were never able to give
Yeah.
review games.
Early games.
Yes.
games,
I
or
was on the
early-
program for like 5-6 years. Yeah.
Right,
Yeah.
right. So you
Yeah.
probably saw the kind of decline
Yes.
probably.
Yeah, I
right?
remember
Yeah.
the last physical games I was sent was for 3DS, like Monster Hunter Stories.
Right, and that's not
and
even a first
Miitopia.
party title. Like
Yeah.
Monster
Yeah.
Hunter was probably Capcom probably
Yeah.
had like a different set of rules. But any first party games, we were never allowed to give creators early copies
Why?
anymore. They were so terrified of leaks.
Yes.
There-
Okay, so
yeah,
that's
there
what I
was
so
a lot
heard.
of people who did
So,
it though.
so what I heard
Yeah,
what I heard was that Bowser and Luigi, the 3DS game story, whatever, got leaked when they sent out early copies, and it was after that they/you were like, no more. We're not doing that anymore.
I think there was a few before that, and that was like the last straw.
Well,
that was the last straw.
The thing that was interesting was like so there was this whole department that Kit was very familiar with. Like we called them the Nintendo Ninjas. You guys might be familiar.
Yes.
Oh yes,
Yeah.
But they actually did
everyone's
exist.
familiar with
They
that.
actually they're real people. They're kind of
They're nice
Are
people.
they here right now?
I
Are
think
they
they're
in the
nice.
room?
They're very nice, but they're also like when you get called into
they
the
mean
ninja
business.
office,
Yeah.
they mean business. They
Yeah.
want you to tell them like what you know about certain things.
Oh god.
It's a little like interrogation
terrifying.
status. But
Is it like in a table room with like dark lights and like a light shining on
Hanging
it?
light.
it was a room with no windows and like one door, and I was like, what's happening in here?
Oh no.
But it's like whenever anything leaks, the stupid like I think like reaction that people always have is it's got to be media or it's got to
There's
be
a lot of
creative.
assumptions made.
Mhm.
Oh,
It's like
okay.
that's actually not the case ever. Like that's
Yeah.
never happened.
Yeah.
You know, so.
So Nintendo, I'm hearing, it's just still very out of touch.
But there's always a reaction of like, well, we need to tighten things up,
Yeah.
no matter what the actual source was.
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like
Okay.
there's all these areas where these leaks potentially could happen, even though there's never been sort of a proven case before. But let's just close all the valves, you know?
Okay.
And yeah, Nintendo certainly, we have a lot of cultural challenges with the Japanese teams. And the way that they do creator relations, media relations is like really different in Japan. They do all paid, basically. So there's no like, you know, sort of like organic.
Oh, so they do
creator
just
Yeah.
sponsorships. No,
Exactly.
like no, like
And-
here's a free game.
And their creators are like basically like TV personalities.
Oh.
So they just can't like wrap their heads really around why would anybody want to do something with your brand for like no money? How can you control them if you don't pay them? You know, there's a lot of
I
these
mean,
sort
a
of-
lot of those concerns are very valid, though.
True.
I mean,
yeah.
not seeing
but
the
also,
worth.
it's a weird thing to say. How can we control what they control
like, how
them
can
or
you
what
make
they
sure
say?
that the
Yeah.
things that they're posting
I mean, I
is
get
quality, right?
Nintendo as a brand having an image, wanting to control what their brand ambassadors
That's
are saying with the
exactly
products
right.
that they are given.
Right.
That does make a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Not seeing the value in that product, though, is where I don't see that
I think
making
it's
any
because the
sense.
quality was low.
Right. Well,
Because
not
the
mine.
program was not yours.
My quality.
Of course not yours. But it was like, you know, because it was kind of mismanaged, you know, there was like so many people doing things that nobody inside Nintendo knew what was happening,
Right.
that it was like kind of giving the team like a bad impression. I
Yeah,
think.
that makes
Yeah.
sense.
Yeah.
No, it totally makes sense.
And there were a lot of people who were in the program who weren't really doing anything with it. I think they enjoyed being part of it, having that association with Nintendo. But when we would look back on their output that was sort of related to it, it's like, well, there's not a lot there, actually.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think it has to do with, you know, the way that Nintendo was working with creators too. Like we weren't able to give them that many opportunities, especially when there was like over 600 people in
Mhm.
that program. So that was part of that
I
audit.
didn't really get any opportunities working
Yeah.
on the program ever.
Exactly. So the audit, you know, was really like this big, dramatic step that we had in the month to fix it.
How many people did you cut?
I think about 80%.
Jeez.
That's insane.
So of course I went back and watched your video before
Thank
we came
you,
out here.
appreciate
That's our homework.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We did some
And
homework too, you know.
You seem to feel like I was singled out.
Well,
which
that's
is
what
so
I was
interesting.
about to say
Yeah.
because it was me and one guy that came forward when I made my video, and I never heard of anyone else. So are these just like dead YouTube channels?
I think
that
Again, I
So,
think there was so much
exactly.
apathy. Some people, like, we would reach out to them and we get nothing.
Nothing.
Wow.
Yeah.
So they
So-
probably just didn't even realize. They just checked their emails. Maybe
Absolutely.
they stopped making content.
Right.
Right.
Because it really did feel like it was me and a guy called Yoshi Zilla, I believe.
Yeah.
Were the two that were
Yeah.
cut. That's wild.
Yeah.
Yeah, 80%.
So why was I cut?
I think
Because I was very active.
it was a combination of
caught in the
like,
crossfire.
like what Nintendo was like willing to do with creators, that they wanted to call down to a very specific group of people and like a very sort of like safe group.
Yes. No, I
You
understand.
know what I mean?
I've
Like-
already come to these conclusions. I just wanted
Yeah.
to see
Yeah.
where
you
you were
want
at with it.
closure in this really
Yeah.
traumatic part of your life.
So,
I get
so
it.
when you say safe, let me ask some questions because I know Nintendo was weird. We're gonna talk about the Nuzlocke thing at some point.
Oh my gosh,
Yeah.
that's good stuff.
Is
yeah.
it because I made a modding video on Breath of the Wild? Did that play a factor?
Yes, I think. I mean,
Yeah, baby, let's go.
mic drop.
I knew it. I did that. It's my fault.
Come back here.
It's my fault he did that.
Can't leave. Yeah,
It's just-
there was a lot of checks on like mods, like anybody that did
Wipe that
any
smile off your stupid face.
I knew it.
crime. Did you have
You
like
have a bet on
crime
this, or-
lord? or
Yes.
something with like
I was like,
string?
Carly Day.
We took it down before you guys
Yeah, we didn't want you to see
It was
that.
like me in the middle and like an X mark over it and like string. No,
There
just
was a
kidding.
big point of contention because I was sticking to my guns that I didn't think the Breath of the Wild video had anything to do with it, and it was something else.
Yeah.
But
It's
So there was a
it's
video
kind of
before
a
that one
gray area.
where we played a modded Zelda
We-
game.
the-
So
yeah.
he had two modded
there was
Zelda
I made the
games.
Breath of the Wild video, and
Yeah.
it seemed like that was fine. But then a couple weeks later, he made me do a mod video on my
No,
channel.
mine was first, and then you did another one like almost a week later.
Okay,
It was
yeah.
his
Like doubled up.
The
It was
ninjas
his
are
fault.
gonna
He's
get
the
ya.
reason.
Mods play those modded games.
Was that the only reason, or was it?
I
and
think it
can
was a combination of
Yeah.
stuff. Like when they audited, they
You're
audited
just an
for
overall horrible person.
Because some conclusions I had come to.
Yeah.
No, tell me your predictions.
Was that I was willing to say my full opinion on games that Nintendo released. You know, if I loved it,
Yeah.
I would gush all over it and I would try and get everyone to buy it because I love Nintendo. But if there was a game that I didn't like, I would literally make a video probably with a horrible title about how much the game sucked. And
Right.
I don't do that stuff as much anymore because I started to feel really bad. You know, like back in the day, I didn't really understand what I was doing. I was growing as a content creator. It was just
Sure.
clicks. It was just clicks. I didn't care. It was
Yeah.
like, this
You
game
want,
sucks.
like, a
let's
clickbaity
let's
sort of
do this game. This
thumbnail
game
and
sucks.
stuff. Yeah.
The more I start growing as a creator, working with teams, working with developers, I start to realize people have made this game. You know, love was put into this game. Somebody worked really hard on this game.
Right,
And then I'm
right.
going to go, this game sucks. You know?
Sure.
So I moved away from a lot of that, but there was definitely a lot of that in the audit that you can find. Games like Xenoblade 2, for example,
Yeah.
where I just wasn't very friendly towards
That's part
it.
of the safe.
Yeah.
the
So there was that. And then
yeah.
the other side was my brand is Nintendo and me. So I very much do my personal life. I've made videos on my depression and my anxiety. I've done a lot of videos just about me in general, vlogs, you know, around,
Mhm.
you know, gallivanting around. So if you were to work with me as a Nintendo brand, you are willing to then take my brand on. And I could see that being a risk as well.
Yeah, I think more so it was just like who is creating this quote unquote like safest kind of content
Yeah.
that
So you just want very safe,
kind of like
Nintendo
it's almost
bubbly,
like generic almost
Nintendo
yeah.
Minute kind of content.
Yeah. And at the
I didn't-
time that
I was about to say that before you said the word generic, so I don't want that to get spliced into that
No,
because
not at all.
Nintendo
Yeah.
Minute was fantastic,
Oh,
but it's
thank you.
very, you know, clean,
It's super
Nintendo,
clean, family
bubbly,
friendly,
and that's what
bubbly.
you're looking for from the
Yeah.
creators you
And
work
because
with.
again, the danger was like if we messed up again.
Yes.
Messed up
Yeah.
again, you know.
That could be it.
And
That's
that's
it.
what I came to realize. I'm like, if you want to work, I say you. If you did want to work with Nintendo creators at that time and you wanted to share your brand with them,
Yeah.
they have to reflect the brand.
Exactly.
And I was not reflecting the brand.
Yeah, I think, you know, again, it was 80% of the people that were cut. So it was
Yeah.
a huge group that we had to let go to like basically build this program back up from scratch.
Mhm.
I think there was always like, we can always, you know, reinstate people if we have better relationships with them in the future. But for now, these are the safest group of people that we can trust
Yes.
from a Nintendo perspective that,
So
you know, we can,
we can be done with this conversation because it's very much about me and I do want to talk about you guys, but I
fine,
do want
yeah.
to just for the story. So technically, you were, I'm guessing Krista, were the person to drop me from
Yes.
the
Yes.
Nintendo.
technically,
Yeah.
yes. I did.